Let me know when John's on the line.
Association and American Dental Association, so you know you're being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Calls and conversations continue in less than 3 minutes as the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues after this.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Hello everyone, from the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Friday, mostly cloudy, chance for a sprinkle or two, a high near 76. Better chance of seeing a few scattered showers through the evening and the overnight as temperatures drop to about 56. We're back in the lower 80s for Saturday afternoon. A little bit of sunshine before we see some scattered showers later in the evening and the overnight. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
What day is it?
Friday. Today is Friday.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for... Okay, thanks.
Keep up with the acronym.
TGIF.
Thank God it's Friday. TGIF, am I right or what?
Thank God it's Friday.
I'd say that was a pretty successful broadcast.
Roger that.
It's showtime.
Something to think about, something to laugh about, and something to talk about every day. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe. Brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
60 degrees and cloudy at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 60 degrees here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. 60 degrees at the Robinson Auto Grip Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. As you heard in the forecast a minute ago, a small chance of showers this afternoon, but overall a pretty decent Friday is in store, and a reasonably good weekend is coming up as well. Thanks to Shauna, and Shauna, who is leaving, by the way, Shauna Johnson, and to Chris Lawrence for filling in for me last hour. I don't know what happened. Somewhere right as I started talking to Zach Petty, no connection, no correlation, no cause and effect. When I started talking to Zach in the 740 weather segment, my nose just began to bleed like crazy. And, I could put a bucket out there gathering it all up. I don't want to get into the details, but I tried just turning the video off because it looked so bad, but I couldn't stop it. So I took an hour to try and get it under control, and I believe it is. And I even turned the video screen back on because I cleaned my face up a little bit and got all the blood on my mustache. And I think I'm as good as it's going to be on the video screen. But Biffy, thanks for jumping in there and getting that, getting the Metro News in there, because I don't think I would have made it during the last hour. So
now we slight adjustment, but no problem. We're all set and ready to head down to the home stretch.
We're in the home stretch, so that's good. It's a Friday morning, means it's time for the Friday Roundtable, conversation about issues that John McCabe and I care about, and in particular, reviewing some of the Ohio Valley news of the week. Good morning, Mr. McCabe.
Hey, good morning, Howard. How are you?
I'm good. Well, I'm better now than I was last hour.
Yeah, I was coming to work when the nose started bleeding, and I hadn't had a chance to listen since, so I didn't realize you had to get an hour-long substitute to get it to stop.
Yeah, I take because of my heart problem, I take blood thinners.
Mm-hmm.
And so any little bit of bleed becomes a gigantic bleed for me. And geez, oh, peace. My wife came in and went, "Oh my God!" Teddy came to give me a hug before he went off to school. He wouldn't do it. No, Greg did not. No. Don't know what all's happening there, but I'm not touching it. So,
speaking of not knowing what's happening, Ohio County Development Authority, interesting meeting last night, huh?
Let's just get right into that because I am. I don't know what word I want to use. I'm more than confused and maybe I want to be angry, but at least I'm damn curious here. You and I have talked about this story since it came out. Greg Stewart wanted to, the county, longtime county administrator, has always done a good job, well-liked, well-loved, 25 plus years in that job. He handled both the Highlands and the other county administrator jobs. Decided that in his final few years before retirement, what he might want to do is focus on the Highlands only, which makes perfect sense to me. You and I have talked about this in the past, John. There needs to be someone to focus just on the Highlands. So everything looks like it's going smoothly, and then everything kind of blew up there at the Ohio County Development Authority with contracts being replaced and meetings that shouldn't have been held being held. Finally came to a resolution last night, which was they decided not to hire Greg Stewart or anybody else to run the Highlands. What's going on?
Well, I think this is the classic example of a few people trying to, this never, let's put it this way, this never would have happened, I don't want to say never, but most likely wouldn't have happened if the original contract that Greg Stewart was going to work under at the Highlands would have been voted on. But, a few people who are no longer on that board and were leaving office rewrote the contract to make it, in an effort to protect Greg, apparently. And, and this is where we're at now, 5 months later. Not only did that backfire, but it backfired to the point where he's now, he now doesn't have a job with, either the county or the Highlands. So sometimes I think you really have this good reminder to public officials. When you do things below board, they really can blow up in your face, and that's really, in the big and short of it is what happened here. So, where do we go from here is a big question to me, and I have, much like you, perplexed is what I was kind of last night when I heard this, and especially by some of the comments that came out of the meeting last night, that there were, issues with that they couldn't talk about, which is, we know how that script is written, that, we can't talk about it, they're personnel matters. But I think here, much as you alluded to a little bit earlier, the public probably deserves to know more. Now, will we ever know more? Most likely not, in all reality, because these are confidential matters. But the public deserves to know more about why this decision was made, what it was that this subcommittee uncovered or found or determined that led them to go with a local firm, Century Equities, as as kind of a tenant manager or a developer, in essence, as opposed to Greg Stewart. I think there needs to be a better accounting than just what was given at the meeting last night.
Greg Stewart not only now has lost a job, but I mean now there are questions surrounding, I would say, his reputation.
Sure.
There is an implication. Nobody has said it, but there's an implication here that maybe there's something wrong with Greg Stewart. I'm looking at some of the quotes from the Jocelyn King story this morning.
Yes.
In the Intel, quoting Zach Abraham. A number of variables have been discussed during executive sessions and open sessions. We are made aware of material facts that are impacting our agreement, of which the board is aware. Now, it doesn't tell us what those facts are, but it leaves open the possibility that did they find something about Greg Stewart that made him unfit to be, the Highlands manager? I don't necessarily believe that. I don't know that by any stretch of the imagination, but it leaves those questions out there. That's totally unfair to Greg. And if there are allegations, then it's unfair to the public to not know what those allegations are.
And I always hate when you get that response from public officials. Well, Mr. Stewart is more than welcome to address these issues with us, after or during the meeting, and he was there, and of course you're not going to, because it seems like he was, let's say, relatively blindsided as well. Even though, as we talked last week, I didn't expect it to go to this level. But I guess I'm not fully surprised either, given what happened 2 weeks ago when they rescinded the contract and at a time when they probably were going, that they should have had a new contract ready. The one thing that gives me that gives me pause more than anything, because again, this is sometimes how political things come together. This is the nature of politics in a lot of ways. But this subcommittee is, it's not like the folks on this subcommittee are all politicians. I mean, this subcommittee is a group of respected local people. The three commissioners, but then you had, Eric Yonelson, John McCullough, local businesswoman Mary Pockle. So it wasn't like it was a group of, the three county commissioners and some other politicos. So there must have been, there had to be something that would
and the
convince the other members. You have a 6-1.
The final vote was 15-3.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm with you. That number makes me wonder, because there are some members of that group that I am surprised that they voted to not hire Greg, or anybody else for that matter. So it does make me wonder what is it those 15 heard that was enough to make them change their mind, or I won't say change their mind, but to vote against Greg. You said that as well, you can defend yourself, except he couldn't defend himself in the executive session. He wasn't allowed in.
No, not in the executive session. He couldn't. He could have addressed the board afterward, or he could obviously could have spoken publicly about it afterward. But that's he may not even know why this came about. I don't know. But it really is kind of an odd end to a 25-year career with the Ohio County Commission, in Ohio County, as a county job, and I've known Greg for a lot of those years, almost all 25 of them, and you can never question his work ethic. You can never question the hours he put in, the dedication he put into really being the guy who developed the Highlands, with some others, but obviously kind of the driving force behind that. And I just think at some point soon, I would urge all three commissioners, there needs to be a better public accounting for why this ended this way. And if it's just politics, just say we decided we needed to go in a different direction because this is a new day for Wheeling and we want to put our own mark on it. Then at least you're being honest about it.
John, I have never heard, and again, maybe I'm just not listening, so I accept that as a possibility. I've never heard anything significantly said negative about Greg Stewart and his work. I mean, he has been well liked. He's done a good job over the 25 plus years that he's been there. I mean, there may have been dust ups here and there, of course, but I don't ever recall any time where there was a real, any real comments about how bad a job he's done, or he's not the right person for the job, or how could he have made such a stupid... I never heard any of that. He has a tremendous reputation.
And let's be honest. I mean, when you look around, not only our region, but you look around the state, I don't think you're going to find a county administrator who took on the roles and duties that Greg did. Now, Greg was compensated very well.
Yes.
I think $203,000. That's a nice salary for a county employee anywhere in this state. But he also probably took on bigger and more important responsibilities than most other county administrators. Compare him to just the ones here in the Northern Panhandle. The county administrator's job really is to make sure the bills get paid, that the facilities are upkept, that they work for the commission to
fix the water line breaks.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Those kind of things,
yeah. And, but he took on a much bigger role. And so, no, I agree with you. I've never heard, Are there things that over the years that we wish the county had done better? Sure, wish they'd worked with the city better, wish they'd been more open on things here and there, but those are, that's kind of inside baseball things that really doesn't affect the general daily operations of the county. I just really kind of surprised that this was the end resolution, and I look back to, early December and wonder if the folks who decided they were, in their mind, doing the right thing by breaking the law and changing that contract, they have a lot of culpability here for what ended up where we ended up. That contract's voted correctly on as it was originally written. We're probably not talking about this today.
And I guess I'm not usually a conspiracy person, but this strikes me as sort of a planned out event. I mean, it strikes me that this is a conclusion that some people had decided they wanted to get to early on. And we went through the swap of the contract. We went through the inappropriate vote without an accession, all that kind of stuff. But I'm sensing that this is where some people were heading all along. And I said this last week, and I don't like to be the conspiracy guy. They dragged this out until after a new county administrator was already hired.
Randy Russell.
Randy Russell was hired to be the county administrator, because they were splitting the job into the Highlands administrator and the county administrator. And it was only after Randy Russell was hired as the county administrator that now we're not going to hire Greg Stewart, which in a sense foreclosed the option of if they decided, well, we don't want a Highlands manager, he could say, well, all right, I'll just take my old job back. Ain't going to happen because they've already got a new administrator.
Exactly.
I don't think that's coincidence.
No, and we'll have to see where this plays out and how it moves forward. But what I don't think any of us in December when this first came up would have imagined, again, 5 months later, this is where we'd be sitting and talking about it.
No,
really surprised at this outcome.
There are things that I could see, as you point out, there might be some reasons that make some sense. I could see, for example, that the argument could be made that, well, they were going to pay Greg Stewart his same salary, essentially, for doing the Highlands job, and also going to pay a county administrator. So, paying two salaries for what at one time was one salary for two jobs, somebody could make the argument, well, wait a minute, that's too much money. But then that should have been a negotiation of the dollars, not of the just get rid of you altogether.
Yeah. Even last week, if you recall, last week we talked, thought maybe they would offer him a contract that he might find insulting and decide just to retire.
Correct.
Did not expect it to go to just no contract whatsoever.
Yeah, I know Greg Stewart. We speak in passing. It's not like we're friends. I don't have any personal connection to him other than I think he's done a good job. I've always thought he did a good job. But something here isn't right, and the public, the Highlands is one of the most important parts of our Upper Ohio Valley, and the public has some right to know a little bit more about what's going on. And if there is something nefarious that has been discovered about Greg, I'm not implying that. I'm just saying then that ought to be made a little bit more clear, at least, without maybe going into details. Something needs to be made more clear. The three folks that voted against, well, two of the three who voted against the proposal to not hire Greg. That's a couple of double negatives there. But two of those three were very vocal in saying they don't know what's going on. What in the world is going on here? And when the people who are voting don't know, I don't know. But again, 15-3 vote does make me wonder, well, what swung all 15 of those votes to back this?
We'll wait and see, I hope, but I think there needs to be, again, as you know, we've always been, believers that, especially matters such as this, you need to make public as much as you can, because again, a man's reputation has been put kind of on the line here, and there needs to be, an explanation as to why.
And his job has been put on the line here.
Yep.
I mean, if I understand the sort of the genesis of this, it basically was that Greg Stewart was looking at another, 4 or 5 years before he would be officially retired. And so he wanted to kind of focus his final few years on the Highlands, but he wasn't ready to call it quits today.
Yeah. The
And
job
so
doesn't, the job is, to me, is not, it's an issue, obviously, and I'm sure it's a huge issue to him, but, political jobs come and go. That's the nature when that commission has had turnover. They've turned over the board for the Development Authority. But sometimes, we haven't dealt with it much in our area. Other areas deal with it all the time. You serve at the whim of politicos who come and go, and right now we have, 2 new commissioners who came in as Republicans after a long run of 3 Democrats on the commission. So change happens. That's part of the nature of politics, and that doesn't concern me as much as kind of the inner workings here. What is it, again, if it was just politics, if they just felt they wanted to put their own mark, come out and say that. We want to go a different direction. We don't think, we want to move away from the past 25 years and put our own mark on it. Just, just say it.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. On the other hand, I think that if you're going to decide you want to go in a different direction, you need to identify what was wrong with the direction we're going in. Again, because I think Greg Stewart has been a really pretty good employee and has done a pretty good job. And so if there's something, if the newcomers to the commission feel that he has not been doing a good job, or he was, he has too many old school ideas, or
whatever,
then let's know what those things are. Let's say those out loud. What's the new direction? If that's it, and I haven't heard anybody say that, but if that's it, they want a new direction. Well, what's wrong with the old direction, and what's the new direction you want?
And I think one final point I'll make on that, they're now working with Century Equities. And, it's not been all that long ago that Century Equities, and not all that long ago, we're talking, 2 decades ago, but, they tried the outlet mall downtown, a lot of controversy that surrounded that. So, it's not like, I don't know, a lot of this just doesn't make sense to me. And I understand the deal with Century Equities is just simply they bring a tenant in, they get a commission off of it. They're not getting, paid to do anything, in essence. But it's, there's a lot of little tendrils to this that I think deserve a much deeper explanation.
And is that Danny Adderhall's company?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think there's, it's...
Or Century Management might be the specific company that they're working with here.
Well, something isn't right, and the public has a need to. There is a right for the public to know this, and more than we know. Maybe you don't reveal it all. I understand that. I completely understand. But we need to know. This is the kind of stuff that. This is the typical smoke-filled back room that nobody wants to see.
Exactly. I would agree there, 100%.
Let me do a break for news, John. Let's talk at least about the water and sewer projects in the city of Wheeling before we have to let you go. So it's 9:30 in the morning. Watchdog Morning Show. Newspaper editor John McCabe here with me on the Watchdog Morning Show for a Friday.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Biff Heaney's out at 9:40, so we can hold spots, and I'll take a break after I'm done with him if you want to do that. All right, because he's meeting with Shelley Capito at 9:45. Yeah. As soon as I let him go, I'll do another break. Okay. I just want to make sure I get one more segment in, at least with John, so.
Tristan Jarry made 22 saves. In 8 meetings with the Rangers this year, the Penguins 6-2. 25-13-2 Penguins in action tonight when they visit the New Jersey Devils to open a 2-game series. In the Pirates home opener, the visiting Chicago Cubs win 4-2. The Cubs belted 3 home runs. The Pirates have lost 6 in a row. Host the Cubs Saturday night. By the way, over 7,000 fans attended the home opener at PNC Park. Frozen 4 held at PPG Arena. University of Massachusetts over Minnesota Duluth 3-2 in overtime. St. Cloud State defeats Minnesota State by the score of 5-4 on the greens. After one round of play at the Masters, Justin Rose atop the leaderboard. Be safe. Please be considerate of others. And don't forget to check on the elderly. I'm Bill DeFabio on sports, and we are the Watchdog.
Step up your career with an MBA from Ohio Dominican University. At Ohio Dominican, you can earn your MBA 100% online in just 16 months. With 7 high-demand concentrations, including data analytics, risk management, and now healthcare administration, an MBA from Ohio Dominican fits your professional goals. It's also one of the most affordable programs in the region. Classes start soon. Get started at ohiodominican.edu/MBA.
Have you ever thought about having a podiatric physician examine your feet? Doctors of Podiatric Medicine set broken bones, perform wound care, and remove bunions. Common health issues that they treat include ingrown or fungal nails, corns, warts, and skin problems like athlete's foot. Foot exams are easy and can prevent many problems. If you can't walk, work, or enjoy sports activities without pain, what are you waiting for? To find a podiatric physician who is a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Join the Nailers for a hockey weekend April 9th, 10th, and 11th versus the South Carolina Stingrays. Enjoy Frosty Friday on April 9th with $2 beers. Next, the Nailers and Stingrays battle again on Saturday night. Both games start 7:10. Then on Sunday, it's 3 in a row against South Carolina. Puck drops 4:10. Get tickets now for a fun Wheeling Nailers weekend at Westbanco Arena. Call 304-234-GOAL or visit WheelingNailers.com. This is Nail City.
Here's a look at the Ohio Valley local news week in review with newspaper editor John McCabe and Howard Monroe.
John has important people to go talk to, not just you and me, Biffy, so we need to get a couple of quick stories in here before I have to let him go this morning. And there are a couple more stories, John, I want to just touch on real briefly.
Sure.
This week, Wheeling Council heard some complaints about, but still chose to increase water, sewage, and garbage rates in the Friendly City.
Yeah, obviously never a good time to increase taxes on people, fees, rates, etc. But coming out of, or not coming out of, but really still kind of in the grip of this pandemic, it makes it even harder. People have, it's a lot of times when we have rate increases such as this, you talk about what it does with fixed income people, but not only that now it's families that have really been struggling over the last year, with unemployment issues, underemployment issues, and now we're looking at, at a minimum of $216 a year. If you are working in Wheeling, that you add on the user fee on top of that, it's $300 a year. That might be, that's a month's rent or a month's groceries, or, medicine or whatever it might be. So, timing is terrible. Timing's never good, but it's particularly bad now. But the city is in a bind. Let's be honest. The city is in a bind that has been a long time bind with these, with water, sewer, infrastructure issues. I still remember one of my first stories I reported on here in Wheeling when I moved here was with our old buddy Albert King Campbell, who showed me in 1996 or early 97 maybe a tome of a document from the EPA that at that time, again, almost 25 years ago, estimated Wheeling had $500 million in upgrade needs for storm sewer separations. They've done a lot of those, but as we know, in 25 years, construction costs have skyrocketed. So that mandate from the EPA has not gone away. So this is one. The city's in a bind here. The one good thing that came out of this is, and I hope and we have an editorial tomorrow, I believe, urging the city to continue to exploring this is, can they, again, the city has been made more than whole through CARES funds, stimulus bills, all these things that the federal government has done. If people are truly having a financial hardship with the rates, they're looking into whether they can help them with some of that money or backfill it other ways. I think that's a really good idea, because this is just businesses haven't been made whole. The public hasn't been made whole over the last year. Cities, counties, state governments are overflowing with this, magic money that showed up in everyone's accounts, and so Wheeling is no different than anyone else. They don't know what to do with it all. They're trying to understand what they can and can't do with it, and how to spend it, and what projects they can do to spend it. So that's the silver lining to come out of this, is that they're exploring that.
The city is kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Sure. Certainly the rate increases, and their significant percentage increases are a big deal. On the other hand, one of the top two biggest complaints the city gets is the problem with overflowing sewers.
Sure.
So, it's what people are most upset about. Well, it requires a lot of money to make the repairs that are necessary, because you've got to replace all that old infrastructure. So it is damned if you do, damned if you don't. Two of the council members voted against it. Councilman Seidler and Rosemary Ketchum voted against the water rate hikes. And I think
not surprised. The majority of their constituents, they come from, demographically speaking, lower income areas of the city, Wheeling Island, South Wheeling, and so their constituents are going to be a harder hit. Again, for some people, a couple $100 more a year, is it inconvenient? Sure. Does anybody want to really pay it? No. But for some families, the upper crust families like yours, Howard, that's you just kind of pay it and move on. It's the cost of retiring well, I'll say.
John, real quick before I let you go, because I know you editorialized about this. What do you think about the Frank Ott story this week? The 85-year-old man who was in a car accident, taken to the Marathon station, then they found a search for him because he left the Marathon station. Bethlehem cops said, I thought he was under control, and he walked out. What do you think about that?
I think, ultimately, a good resolution to the story. They found him. He's safe, and luckily it wasn't a 25-degree night or anything like that. But I really, as we said in our editorial, what I wish either Officer Jewell or Don Junkins would have said was, this is our policy. I think it's time we need to really look at this again. Their responses were, well, we followed policy, and that we did what we were supposed to do. Even if you did, it wasn't the right thing to do. And given the aging population our area has, that's an indisputable fact. We're getting older. We need to look at things such as this. Again, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they could have taken him over to the Village Hall in Bethlehem, Village building, had him wait inside for a family member to show up. And again, this was a mistake on several fronts. It turned out okay, but again, spent a considerable amount of time and resources on Wednesday, searching for him with sheriff's deputies and volunteers and Marshall County sheriff's deputies. So I really think Bethlehem, as soon as possible, needs to address this department policy and revise it. It just as simple as that. It needs revised.
I'm going to challenge the use of the word mistake, but I agree with you. There were better choices that could be made, and my guess would be, and Rusty Jewell's a pretty good guy. My guess would be that even Rusty Jewell, in retrospect, going, yeah, you know what, I probably should have stayed with him or done something different. What this does, the resolution was good, as you point out, since he was found and found healthy and well. It puts this in the spotlight, a reminder, I think, and not just to Bethlehem, but to everybody, all cops and everybody else, that we do need to be a little more cautious when we're talking about a particularly elderly person that has been in an accident maybe it's not the best thing to say. Are you okay? You are?
Sure.
Maybe it's something to say to you or me, John, but not necessarily to the 85-year-old man.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to disparage Mr. Ott in any way, but, we've all seen it as we have elderly, grandparents and parents, and you're somewhere and you kind of look at them and, 1 minute they're lucid and the next they're, you wonder if they know where they're at. And that's right. Not to, again, he had just been in an accident, and even if it was just a minor fender bender, he could have cracked his head a little bit. It could have been anything, and you just have to think at some point he was standing there in front of the marathon and wondered, why am I here, and just started walking. Yep. And all right, thanks, Howard. Good talking
I know
to you.
you've got to go see. You tell Senator Capito I said hello. She won't
sure
hear,
will.
But tell her I said hello. And you going to Wheeling Hospital today?
Yes, I will be out there.
I think I may be there too. It depends on how my nose goes.
Okay, very good.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, newspaper editor John McCabe this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. He's got an appointment with Senator Capito. So I told him we'd get him out of here early on the Watchdog Morning Show. 17 till the hour. Let me just double check the temperature. Looking still cloudy outside right now. And still 60. Haven't changed the temperature much. 60 degrees and cloudy at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport and at my home studios and at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Biff, we have baseball tonight and tomorrow and basketball tomorrow as well here on the Watchdog, right?
Yes, we do. We have West Virginia and Baylor, that game at 7:30 tonight. And then tomorrow afternoon, the second of 3 games between West Virginia and Baylor at 3:30. And then basketball, 1 game on each station on AM 1600 WKKX and 98.1 FM. Wheeling Central at Notre Dame, that is Clarksburg, Notre Dame. That game at 7:30. And over on AM 1370 WVLY and 97.7 FM. Preston at John Marshall. Your schedule may say 7:30. That has been changed to 6 o'clock. So it's Preston at John Marshall, 6 o'clock tomorrow night.
All right, so we've got baseball for you from WVU, and we've got a couple of high school games as well, keeping you entertained throughout the weekend. Of course, if you like to be entertained by professional sports, and maybe a little additional way to entertain yourself is to put a little something down on it. We used to have to say for amusement purposes only, but now you can actually be honest about it and add a bit of excitement to your sports watching experience by actually betting on the action by using FanDuel Sportsbook. It's America's #1 sportsbook, and it's that way for a reason. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds in all different kinds of betting markets. They've got, I think, 17 different sports that you can bet on. Unique, fun type bets like the same game parlay, exclusive always-on promotions, enhanced odds boosts on the real big events, let you get more action out of every game. They've got some bets you can place on the Masters right now, for example. And remember, if you win, they get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. So that's a pretty good deal. So it's easy to use, fast withdrawals, great odds, all that kind of stuff I just talked about. Makes it America's #1 sports betting app. So right now, FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. You can bet up to $1,000 for your first bet. And if you lose, they'll just put that money right back into your account, which you have to use within the next 14 days. So it's a good way to take a shot, play a long shot. If it wins, you win big. If you lose, you still get your money back, and you can take another bet with the same money. If you've never tried FanDuel, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app right now. Get started. Use my name, Monroe, M-O-N-R-O-E, in the promo code box. FanDuel Sportsbook. Now, you must be 21 or older, physically present in Pennsylvania or West Virginia. First online real money wager only. Site credit is non-withdrawable, and it does expire in 14 days. So if you lose, they put the money back in your account, but you only have 14 days to use it again. Restrictions do apply. More info at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problems? And some people have them. Don't download FanDuel at that point. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. FanDuel Sportsbook. More ways to win.
I'm Big Rick, host of Real Big Talk, weekday afternoon.
If we have time, I'll do a capital report. May not have time if Bob calls.
Vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection.
Hey man, what can I get you?
Yeah, can I have 2 Coors Lights?
You got it. Hey Mike! I need 2 Coors Lights!
Sure thing.
With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time. Here you go.
Thanks, Mike. Doing a great job. All right, 2 ice-cold Coors Lights.
That's the coldest beer I've ever had.
Hey, they don't call it the world's most refreshing beer for nothing.
Okay, be honest with me. Do you really have the Rocky Mountains in your beer cooler?
You don't believe it? Check it out.
Man, that's pretty amazing.
I know, right? I can't believe it myself sometimes. I mean, this cooler is only 3 feet wide.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
The timeless sounds of polka live here. Join us 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays for the Polka Showcase with Rich Biella. Sunday mornings never sounded so good.
Miss a part of the show? Want to hear a segment again? Check out our podcast page at watchdognetwork.com. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
It's 60 degrees at about 8:50 here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Checking in with Bob Westphal from the Big 7 coming up in a minute or two. And today is really the last day for normal order of business down in Charleston in the session. They do extend it till tomorrow, one additional day on Saturday. That's designed to be budget bill only, I think, tomorrow. So will the income tax pass? What about the budget bill? Those things are still up in the air. There's several things that don't seem to be making it. The Confederate statue bill, for example, seems to have gone into limbo and may not get passed. We're going to have to wait and see how that all plays out before the end of the day today. Here's a quick look at what's going on down in our state capitol.
This is the Metro News Capital Report.
It certainly has been an interesting session so far. And as I've said all week long, plenty of mischief could end up getting done in the last couple of days. So we'll have to wait and see what happens today. Follow it here on Metro News at 5:30 every hour. And, of course, if you want to follow it in real time, you can go to either Brad McElhenney or Stephen Allen Adams' tweets on Twitter, and they really keep you up to date. Those two guys do a really, really good job of staying on top of what's happening moment by moment down in Charleston. That's where I gather a lot of my info. We're going to talk on Monday about Confederate statues, not specifically in West Virginia, but this whole movement across the country to remove Confederate statues. And is it some kind of a return to Jim Crow laws, or is it just a desire to preserve history? We're talking to the author of a book about that subject. That's coming up on Monday here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Also got a couple of other interesting things I'm working on for you next week. Don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet till I get them all set up and put together, but should have a good week for us coming up next week. So be sure and stick around. That is assuming, of course, I don't have another big nosebleed. Oh, boy. If you missed my earlier show, I don't know what happened. I had a gigantic nosebleed at one point, and I mean, gigantic. I don't want to get into the details, but had to turn the video screen off because my face was all bloodied, and the desk was a mess, and it took me about half an hour or so to get it taken care of, so we turned things over to Metro News, and thank heavens we had Shauna and Chris standing by prepared to do the work. Today was Shauna Johnson's last day on Metro News. Shauna's been there for quite a good while. Shauna and I actually co-hosted Statewide Talk Line a couple years ago. They were up here at Independence Hall. She was filling in for Hoppy, and I was co-host with her for a while out of Independence Hall. She's a really very nice woman. She's going to go work for WVU. I'm not really sure what her game plan is over there. Probably in the marketing PR, I'm assuming, department. Maybe she's teaching journalism. I don't know. But she'll be a big loss for the Metro News team. On the other hand, Wheeling native Jake Flatley may end up being heard more frequently on Metro News now. I think he's going to be filling in on the morning news, their early morning show that we don't always carry, but he'll be filling in on that coming up next week. He was a good guy, Biffy.
Oh yeah, Jake would be he'd be great. It'd be nice to see him get that.
So I think he will probably at least fill in temporarily on the morning news from time to time, and maybe we'll get the gig as well. He's done a good job there. Have we heard from Bob Westfall yet?
We have not heard from Bob yet.
All right, well, so that's why I'm tap dancing here now. We're talking today, Biffy, about some of the signs of summer, right? We talked about the boys of summer are back. The Masters is underway. You had your first golf last night. Weather's been really warm and hot. Not warm, it's been hot. We feel like summer is coming. And, of course, one of the big signs of summer here in the Upper Ohio Valley is when the port begins to come alive. It did not come alive at all last year. Will it this year? One event's already been canceled. That was the Ogden race, and that made sense. Too much organizing had to be done too early to get that done. The Italian Festival Board of Directors are meeting next week, Biffy.
Yes, they are.
To decide if there will be an Italian festival coming up in 2021. If there is an Italian festival, it will be the last full weekend of July, but they got to, decide what are the COVID protocols going to be. The Italian festival is the one festival that concerns me, even with all people being vaccinated and so on, and that is because they're really packed in during the Italian festival, Biff.
Yeah, I mean we've seen that before.
Most other festivals, the Chili Festival and some of the others are, there are fewer people there, and there's much more wide spaces there. You can wander without, literally being bumped up against other people. But the Italian festival, I mean, it's often shoulder to shoulder, and I don't know if that's going to work. They'll figure it out, but I don't know if that's going to work in COVID times or not, to be brutally honest with you. We'll have to see. I can tell you a couple things that are coming up today. Today, WVU Medicine has an official, formal ceremony commemorating their takeover of Wheeling Hospital. Takeover isn't the right word, but they're now leasing Wheeling Hospital. That officially began on April the 1st, but they're having a big to-do today. Albert Wright, the CEO of WVU Health Systems, is going to be there. A lot of other officials. Senator Capito is going to be there. I don't know if Manchin's there or not, but it's going to be a pretty big hoop-de-doo. They've got an invitation-only event coming up today. I do have an invitation to that, but we'll see how the nosebleed goes. Of course, the good news is if I went to the event, Biffy, and the nose started bleeding, I'd just walk right over to the emergency room, right?
I was going to say, you're right there, so, I mean, you'd be good, yeah.
So, but you'll hear a lot about that today as WVU Medicine. They have already taken over officially, but now there's this big ceremony that's being done today. That's about it for me, though. I got to say sayonara, see you, bye-bye, farewell. I got to go. I got to get out of here. Kirchhoff still is on vacation, I think into next week. I don't think he's back on Monday yet, but Dave Wilson filling in on Statewide Talk Line. That's coming up next. As for me, as always, good Lord willing, creeks don't rise, bat phone doesn't ring, I don't get impeached, I don't retire, I don't overeat, I don't, the ticker keeps on ticking. Nose doesn't start bleeding again. And Teddy says it's okay to go back to work on Monday, Granddad. I'll be back Monday morning, 7 o'clock, into the go-around of the big gig. Are you back with me, Brother Biff?
I'll be back Monday ready to start another week.
All right, we'll just keep on doing it till we get it right.
That'll be a long time.
Indeed.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
All right, well, all things considered, wasn't too bad. Lost an hour, but couldn't be helped. Yeah, we got it in, and I guess they must be busy at the Big 7 today, so that's okay. That's all right. All right, I'll be around. I don't know what I seriously, I don't know if I'm going to the hospital now or not. I was going to attend that event, but I'm really nervous about starting to just drip down my face. I'll have to wait and see. And if I do go, I'll probably bring some stuff back from interviews for next week. We'll see. Got an author coming on to talk about Confederate statues on Monday, so that should be good. And I think it's Monday. Beverly Miss Silly used to be with the Uniglobe, but she's now talking about a Harmony House fundraiser, so I think she'll be in Monday too. So it's got a few things that I'm going to try and get a hold of Ehlenfeld. And I'm actually going to try and get a hold of Phil Kabler. I know I've had no luck with him, but I thought maybe he'd like to do now that this session is over, how bad was it interview. So we'll see if he'll agree to that on Monday. We shall see. So we'll figure something out. In the meantime, have a good weekend. You going to golf anymore this weekend, you think? Or? Yeah. Yep. All right, if you need me, I'll be around. Otherwise, have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you Monday. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.
Into a short barrel rifle. An electrical issue has been discovered on some Boeing 737 MAX jets, different from the problem that grounded the entire fleet. United, though, says it's going to remove 16 from service. American says it's grounding 17 jets. You're listening to ABC News.
Hello, neighbor. Pat Boone here. You know, they say every dark cloud has a silver lining, right? Well, today I'm going to prove it. Rising political and economic uncertainty is increasing market volatility. So, to help protect listeners, Swiss America has a very special offer. Historic silver Walking Liberty $half at the amazingly low price of just $11.95 each delivered. That's right, $11.95 each delivered, while supplies last. Available now by calling 800-630-1492. Why don't you write that down, 800-630-1492. Put a silver lining in your portfolio now. Call 800-630-1492. 800-630-1492. Walking Liberty $half at the amazingly low price of just $11.95. Call 800-630-1492.
It's now officially erupting, a volcano on the Caribbean island of St. Vincent. Thousands of people already ordered to evacuate. Several cruise ships have been pressed into service to help get people out of harm's way. The medical examiner who performed the autopsy on George Floyd could testify today at the murder trial of the former Minneapolis cop charged in Floyd's death. ABC's Kenneth Moten says there was important medical testimony on Thursday.
The jurors in the Derek Chauvin trial heard some technical